Yo, it's Ika here, back again with another team analysis. This time I'm focusing on the 13th placed and top Eternatus team for season 15, made by Poke. I've had considerable level of success with this team, being one of the teams that I used to actually qualify for Battle Stadium Singles ladder tournament that's going on currently. And I know some other players have been using this team to climb to high ladder, so I thought I'd give you an idea of what makes this team so good. As per usual, I'll be incorporating the team builder's thoughts as well as my own insights, and hopefully this will be helpful for anyone wanting to climb or just use an Eternatus team, as Eternatus is really strong and kind of underrated by a lot of players at the moment, and especially in team building. So the idea of this team is to use Scarf Eternatus as a cleaner. The basic aim is to trade Dynamax with one of your 5 Dynamaxes and then use Eternatus to clean up the rest of the opposing team, or use either that or use surprise opposing Dynamaxes who are weak to dragon moves, as a lot of legendary Pokemon are, with Scarf Dynamax Cannon. It is for this reason, basically, the fact that Eternatus is Scarf, that you have 5 other strong Dynamax Pokemon that help create the endgame scenario, which is Scarf Eternatus clicks Dynamax Cannon on their restricted Pokemon or +1 Zapdos, and then you win the game, assuming obviously the restricted Pokemon isn't Zacian. So anyways, let's talk a bit about the individual Pokemon. Firstly, we have Eternatus. It's kind of the centerpiece of the team and should be brought to the vast majority of games. There are a few matchups where Eternatus is not that good versus certain types of stall, for example. But for the most part, you want to be bringing in Eternatus most games. The EV spread is specifically made to make sure that Eternatus outspeeds base 100, so you're 169 speed, and therefore you're able to check +1 Zapdos, Scarf Kyogre, +1 Kyurem Black, Zekrom, Kyurem White, Palkia, and all those other dragons. The main remaining EVs are placed over into are left after placing like all of them into max special attack, are placed into special defense. This is because of Ditto, and it's kind of an anti-Ditto meta. Dynamax Cannon from Scarf Ditto has an 18.8% chance to kill Eternatus, which is just half to less than 10% because Eternatus is also Scarfed, which kind of safeguards you from being counteracted so easily. A lot of Eternatus, well, some of them run like Draco Meteor or Ice Beam, and these things Ditto can use more easily to sweep through teams. So that is kind of how this team gets around Ditto just copying your Eternatus. Aside from that, most of the moves are kind of standard, aside from Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is used for Collect Shadow. It OHKOs, or you can KO Dynamax after about 40% sort of chip. So Shadow Ball will do about 60 to 70 on Dynamax Collect Shadow, and you'll be faster because you're Scarf. So you know, maybe like one hit plus a bit of Life Orb chip from Calyrex or something can easily win you the game. So talk about Cinderace. I'll move Cinderace here actually. Cinderace is kind of the main Dynamax ace on the team. If I was to like pick one Pokemon here that is like the best Dynamaxer on this team, is Cinderace. It's kind of one of the few physical attackers that can kind of really pressure Quagsire as well without having a grass move, which kind of allows it to punch through stall without having the weaknesses that like something like Rillaboom would have. It fares a lot better versus max airstreamers due to having max strike. Talk about max strike. Giga impact is really important move on Cinderace, as max strike can kind of allow you to trade with Dynamax, Zapdos, or Yveltal without them gaining +2 speed, meaning that even if Cinderace is kind of a KO'd in the 1v1, you'll be able to revenge kill with Eternatus. Giga Impact actually low-key is, I've used it a few times on ladder just because of the power outside of Dynamax. If you know you're going to die that turn and you can get like a big Giga Impact off from Life Orb Cinderace, for example, it does like stupid amounts to non-resists, so you could like get like 80% off on like opposing Eternatus or on Zapdos. So yeah, there's that going for us as well. Lastly, you've got Sucker Punch. It can help versus Coloric Shadow. Obviously, you have to watch out for Max Mindstorm and give the chip needed to after a Dynamax trade for Eternatus. So what scenario you might be seeing is something like, well, you both Dynamax and now you're out of Dynamax, they're out of Dynamax, and you've just finished your Dynamax and they're still in Dynamax, and you can click Sucker Punch to get a bit more chip on them. It should be noted that like, not that I've really ever used this much, but you can use Max Darkness to drop Spadef for Eternatus to clean up quicker. Though I think this is very niche, but so talk about Zapdos. Zapdos is mainly selected against Zacian C, and it's just a wall with the aim of like paralyzing or chipping Zacian with static and discharge. The combination of those two moves is you basically have a 51% chance to both to not get paralyzed. Well, no, to get paralyzed if you hit Zapdos and then it discharges. So with a bit of luck, you can get paralysis on Zacian, which probably has to hit you twice, and you get a discharge off. It should be noted that like Noble Zacian has a decent chance of getting KO'd by Flamethrower from Eternatus after a discharge from Zapdos. Has a variant of Zacian that can survive that roll. So the max HP Zacian, I'll give an example from, let's see if I can find the team. So yeah, this Zacian, for example, is obviously bulky enough that it would live discharge into Flamethrower, but it's slower than Cinderace, so you can kind of play around that and have the and then you know that your Cinderace is faster, and you can just go in with that instead. Yeah, or even if you just want to get enough chip that Urshifu, Lando, Cinderace, Eternatus, one of these can just finish the agency off. It's not perfect, but it kind of does its job well. It also has Airy Impulse. It's pretty good versus opposing Zapdos and a few other Pokemon. You can kind of lower Pokemon special attack and then set up with your Dynamaxer for free. So like if you want to SD with Lando, or you just want to like max Airstream or max Knuckle on a weakened opponent, and that's also good. So talk about Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn is kind of the way this team deals with Nihilego and Tyranitar, which are kind of like pretty hard to switch into and annoying for this team. Like
this team doesn't have a great power media beam switching, for example, other than Fairphone. So it also comes with kind of the secondary benefit of being decent versus Kyogre, which is everywhere. Power Up is on set with kind of the assumption that when you're bringing Fairphone, you're Dynamaxing it. So, for example, you use it to switch into Kyogre, and then you're going to go most likely into a Dynamax battle with Kyogre after it clicks like Water Spout, say. And you can click Max Overgrowth. Whereas if you just had Max Steel Spike, well, you're losing that 1v1. Huginu Poke does mention in his blog that Iron Defense and Curse are kind of options that you can use to put more pressure on CCC and Lando. I did try both. I personally prefer Power Whip, so that's what I'm using. But it's just something to keep in mind there. So we got a Shifu. It's kind of just the sash mon of the team. Like most teams have a sash user. This item is just amazing, and it's like one of the few sash users that doesn't just like instantly get beat down by Lando T. Surgery Strikes is really annoying for Lando to deal with. And Taunt in combination with it can really put in work versus like stall teams. Like Stall doesn't like to deal with the set very well. When you can't like recover with your fat mons, it can be really difficult. And this set alone just like completely beats down, let's say, a Ho Stall or something like that you might see. Taunt also kind of has this secondary effect of like you can use it as max guard, which makes this a better Dynamax for overall. I don't generally Dynamax steer Shifu, but you can. There's the option is there. Whereas I think if it was like 4 attacks with counter, which is more common on Sash, it's definitely more difficult to have situations where you Dynamax it, because often when you're Dynamaxing something like a Shifu, you just wanted to waste your opponent's Dynamax as well. So final member is Lando T. There's not much really to say about this set. It's a kind of more standard-ish set. It's just generally great against Yawn. You're looking at the hip powder matchup in particular. With Source Dance, Yawn, you can double SD, or you can Dynamax max Airstream, whilst the Hippo is trying to whirlwind you out, or something like that. So yeah, it's just a general sweeper set. This set I think is after the Cinderace, I think Landorus T is like the second Pokemon that I'm really looking to Dynamax if I can in games. So these are like the 2 main like breakers of the team. And then you have kind of the walls. This is utility, and then you have the cleaner. So yeah, your election kind of depends somewhat on the matchup, but your basic game plan is you go in with your best Dynamaxer, the non-restricted Pokemon that deals best with their restricted Pokemon, and then Eternatus in the back. So for example, versus Station C, you might lead with Landorus T or Cinderace, depending on what they have. You can also lead with Zapdos is fine lead as well. Versus Lapras teams, does its job well. So you might lead with something like Cinderace, then you have Zapdos for Zacian, which you definitely need, and then you have Eternatus in the back to clean up. Versus Kyogre, you probably want a Shifu. Shifu really does appreciate the rain and the fact that you have Sash is pretty good in those matchups, especially if they're running like a non-ring core. They've got Farthorn under the rain. And then you can run your own Farthorn and Eternatus. You don't have to run Farthorn, but I do find it helps versus Kyogre teams. You can actually beat Kyogre 1v1 with Eternatus if you play it well. So then potentially you can bring Zapdos or Cinderace, depending on which can kind of surprise your opponent. And then versus like Stolia teams, you're going to want to bring a Shifu, Rapid Strike, especially you want to use the Taunt. As I have said in the last video I made, you want to be using, you have your Pokemon there for specific reasons, and specific matchups you want to be using them for those matchups. Cinderace is also a very good Pokemon. So yeah, you bring a Shifu, Lando or Cinderace, and then Eternatus. It's good. I like Cinderace over Lando generally. Obviously, if they don't have a Quagsire, then I'm loving to bring Lando. But a lot of stalls do, obviously, because Quag is very strong. Versus all the Dragon Legendaries, so Eternatus, Mirror Match, Pure Black, or any of them. Any of the others good. Zekrom, I think it's pretty good, to be fair. Palkia, Pure White, etc, etc. Giratina. Always bring Eternatus and then whatever you want really. You'll always be able to win if you play Eternatus right. I think use Giga Impact on Cinderace is something I like to do too. It gives you just a bit more control with the speed. Versus the Crossbow Dustbin, I think Eternatus is still good. Scarf, Flamethrower, Shadow Ball, decent. I like bringing Lando and Cinderace here, just double up on it. Yeah, sometimes dual screens plus Dustbin can be annoying, but I find that like you can Fireball in the sun, or like you can set up Max Flare and then just keep spamming Max Flare. It does tons of damage, even in what I was gonna say. Yeah, it does tons of damage even through screens, and then you can kind of like clean up with Eternatus or Lando and the Crossbows of Spain, and then after that I feel like Eternatus just wins. One thing if they are running dual screens is you want to force them to bring reflect up, and then yeah, obviously they're gonna stall versus Eternatus. The one thing you do have to worry about versus the Crossbow Dustbin is Morning Sun does get boosted by Sun, but like if you got Cinderace in, it doesn't matter. But any other scenario, like with other teams, some teams have Heat Wave Zapdos, it's just not enough damage. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Then versus the Ice Rider, I'd like Cinderace. Farthorn is good for depending how trick roomy they are. Farthorn could kind of counteract size under the rooms, and then Eternatus last. I think that's all the major matchups. So before I kind of leave you guys be, I'll give you a quick example of how you generally want to macro Eternatus. I'm just gonna move this. There we go. So this is a kind of somewhat of an ideal scenario that I encountered during my BSS LT climb. My opponents save this game. I don't generally save my ladder replays. I look at them unless there's something specifically interesting. I look at them after I play them if I'm laddering seriously, and then I move on to the next game because there's a lot of different data points. So I'm not really in the habit of saving my own replays, so this one I'll have to do. I look at my matchup versus him. This is my BSS LT laddering ult. I believe this is like in the 1300s. So not really high up, but I see he has Cure and Black, and my aim is to let him get to +1. I'll get him in, hit my opponent in their comfort zone, and then I'm just going to surprise them with Eternatus, which is what ends up happening in the game, I believe. So yeah, they lead off with Cure and Black as I lead Cinderace. They're obviously worried about kick, high jump kick. I max strike here just in case they do decide to Dynamax, and I believe all the dragons learn like a flying move. I think does Cure and Black learn a flying move? I feel like it does. Yeah, it learns to fly. Yeah, so you do have to wait. I was trying to be careful. I was wondering whether it earned Aqua. I don't think generally Cure and Black doesn't run that, but like definitely Zekrom, Palkia, all of those will run max Airstream. But yeah, he switched out fearing high jump kick. I don't mind, like, the thing with Cinderace, just Dynamax it early, man. This team does so much damage. I don't even mind the fact that he's got SD, because like at this point I've done what I wanted to do. I've gotten rid of one of his Pokemon. I know he's going to be forced to Dynamax probably his Cure and Black. He's going to think I'm going to kick here. And yeah, he cares my. I let him kill my Zapdos and then go into Eternatus. And he Dynamaxes, but of course Scarf Dynamax Cannon cleans him, and then yeah, I can just switch out and go back into Eternatus. Here is an example of where Giga Impact is really good. I know that this is going to do so much damage that he's just not going to be able to recover from it. Even if he gets a +6 or something ridiculous. Or he's actually using telepathy. Telepathy, I'm sure that's a mistake. But yeah, that's the basic thing. You can surprise a lot of your opponents with Scarf. Like, this guy just didn't respect Scarf. He could have theoretically double Dragon Danced. I didn't think he was going to, which is why I just played the way I did. But yeah, ended up winning the game, and yeah, that got me to high 1300s. So I eventually got this account playing his team. I went 22-4 and got into the 1500s, so you can see my name still on the ladder if you would like. Anyways, I hope this was informative, and I'll try and come up with some more of these videos when season 16 comes out. I'll have a look at and try out some of the teams and see what's good, and hopefully make another one of these videos. Thanks for tuning in.